I want to apologize before we even play this clip to all my fellow Australians, because this lady and her panel, they do not make our country look good. So sorry about that.
I want to take you back to the 1950s, or at least that's what I thought when I read this Brisbane mum's Facebook post. Brooke Smith shared her routine online. Here's what she said. I always make sure I don't go to bed until everyone's lunches are packed, their clothes are set out for the next day, including my husband's, and the house is clean, dishwasher is on, and a load of washing is on. I always get up early, 4:30, with my husband to make his breakfast and coffee. Go, Brooke. Whatever. I mean, a lot of people online are saying, well done, are praising her.
Who are these people? Has he hypnotised her or something? Who does this stuff? Making his breakfast and then putting his clothes out overnight? Is he disabled or something? Like, seriously. Like, get a grip, get off your bum and do stuff yourself.
It's so vicious. It's so mean. It's so infuriating. Look at the glee with which they all attack this woman's femininity for wanting to spend time with her husband in the morning before he goes off to work, you know, doing nice things for the family, for the kids. And you wonder about that woman who started off like, it's so high school bullying to me, like, okay, whatever, go Brooke. Like the sarcasm, like you can see how threatened she is by the femininity of this woman who's obviously in a happy relationship and is happy with her family. Like, that's not the kind of femininity that I support. Like, you're taking us back to the 50s. How pathetic. It destroys the myth that feminism is about protecting female choices, you know? Like, absolutely not. Like, here we have a woman who's objectively happy with her choices and is celebrating that. And look how threatened the panel is, and all these women like laughing at her, and they're obviously only interested in one particular type of femininity, and they find the other type of femininity, the traditional one, is something to be ridiculed and bullied her about on their national, you know, television program.
Well, the irony is that they are betraying the very principles that so many good feminists have fought for, which is the right to live how you want with your consenting partner, and not have people judge you for it, assuming that, you know, you're actually happy in your arrangement. And if you are, then, you know, great, hats off. This man, if he deserves a woman this committed to him, then he must be fucking amazing. And I want to hear about him. Like, how is he that good that she will, you know, totally dedicate herself like that? He must be incredible.
Okay, really quickly, just in case you missed it, Matt and I are heading to Thailand this December. We're going to get a luxury villa, and we're looking for a bunch of high-quality guys to join us for a holiday. There's a link below for the promotional video that will show highlights from the last trip we did, as well as a link to the website where you can apply to join us. All right, back to the video. When you're a good guy and you're nailing your relationship, you're demonstrating positive masculinity, you're making your partner happy, she wants to do things for you. She loves expressing her gratitude. It's a thrill for her to be able to do something nice for you. You could see how many kids that woman had. There's like 4 children. She's obviously not going to work. He obviously is. A division of labor isn't going back to the 50s. From a practical perspective, it just makes sense. And the idea that the woman should find happiness or joy in doing that is completely normal when you understand a healthy relationship. It's so revealing of these women that they can have such a cynical perspective of a woman who wants to live that kind of lifestyle, because they obviously assume that they're in a superior position. They like their careers. Their fundamental assumption, I think, is that being a housewife must be more miserable. And there was actually a scientific study on this, and I'll bring it up in a moment. But let me ask you to make a prediction, Matt. When they did research, they did developing countries, they did developed countries and middle income countries. So they covered the whole globe, and they tried to find out who's happier, right? Housewives or women who are working, or even women who are working like part-time. So what is your guess? Like, who's going to be happiest, working women or housewives?
Oh God, what an interesting question. I would assume that part-time working mothers might be the happiest, who get to fulfill their feminine desire of nurturing the children and being the homemaker if they want that, but also feeling like they have a semblance of autonomy and independence and curiosity outside of the home life. That's what I would suspect would be the happiest group.
Do you think part-time is going to be the happiest? What do you think about housewives, full-time stay-at-home mums and housewives versus full-time working women. Which one of those two groups do you think is going to be happier?
I would say working mothers who are really throwing themselves into the working market are the least happy.
Okay, let's find out if he is correct. I got this information from a study that was, I think, from 2013. It's called Who's Happier, Housewife or Working Wife? And like, I just highlighted this part because it tells us the results straight away. Results show that there is no difference in the happiness between a housewife and a working wife in the upper and low income economies. Okay, so there's no difference, which just further speaks to the fact that you shouldn't be judging a woman's choices under feminism as being more or less inclined to give happiness when there is no difference. For the middle income countries, they actually did find there was a difference. And middle income, for example, I just highlighted things like Poland, Egypt, China, Brazil. So not quite like Western developed worlds, but certainly not developing. And in those countries, they found that there was a difference between whether or not you're working part-time, and Matt's prediction was correct. In contrast, results for the middle income economy show that a part-time working wife is happier than a housewife, and that both part-time working wives and housewives are happier than a full-time working wife. So in those middle income economies where the only place that there was any difference, it goes like this. At the very happiest were the part-time working mothers, then the stay-at-home housewives, and then the least happy were the full-time working women. That was what the science showed.
Great. So then my prediction was accurate, but limited to, semi-developed countries, or however they were described, the middle income.
So I want to bring the conversation back just briefly to this woman who is getting up at 4:30 every single morning to make her husband's coffee and like make his breakfast, because while this is part of his routine, it also seems like a kind of gesture that she's able to give him as a gift. Like, all right, you're going off for the day, you're going to be working. We actually don't get that much time without the children. I want to make sure that I actually have some time one-on-one with you while all the children are still asleep. But it does open up a larger conversation about what you can do in terms of a reciprocal gesture as a man when you want to show your appreciation for what a woman has done. And so leaving aside the weird culture war, like let's be in competition, let's actually just bring the conversation to the practical discussion of in what way can you do gifts, like nice gestures to your partner and not have it seem like simpish, if you understand what I mean. Like it's not coming from a supplicating, submissive place, like I'm trying to earn your affection. I just want to show my appreciation in like a healthy way.
My assumption is it has very little to do with the gift if you're coming across as simpish, and much more to do with just your general demeanor, how you talk about yourself, how you talk about her, how you talk about the relationship, and in what contexts you're giving the gifts. If you give a gift to end a fight, that's going to come across very differently than if you give a gift because you're celebrating some accomplishment that one or both of you or she made.
The example that you just gave of trying to end a fight by giving gifts, I think is such a disaster. I found this TikTok. Let's just watch this one. This guy, let's watch it.
Fellas, a quick tip. If your girlfriend's mad at you, this is what you gotta do. I got her favorite food, and it's some sushi, and we present it like this.
I'm just pausing it. Like he's like, I've got the I've got the lowdown on women. This is what they want. Like I've got her favorite sushi. And so you're watching this thinking, all right, how's she going to respond to this amazing gesture? Well, let's find out.
All right, she's coming home soon. Hey, welcome home. Hey, guess what? Hey, check. I got a sushi. Yeah, right? You like the sushi? Can you feed me one?
I love you.
It's so bizarre to me that he thought that this painted him in a positive light and he posted it on social media. That was the most awkward, awful thing I've ever seen. She comes home. She doesn't even look at him. She doesn't talk to him. She doesn't respond. And then he's like, hey, I got your favorite sushi. And she's like, all right, she comes over, but then he's like, hey, look, this is like a cute thing. I've got my phone out. Can you feed me sushi? She's like, no. How on earth does he think that this is proof of him having discovered some kind of successful strategy for how to deal with women when they're mad? When the issue between two people is serious, the idea that it can be solved with a gift is insulting. I can't tell you how offended I would be if my partner had done something awful to me, like she'd said something really horrible, and then I came home and she'd bought some material object and was like, I guess we're all good now, I'd be like, are you kidding? Like, how little do you think I'm worth? And women have that same experience.
And also from movies and sitcoms where the man is a total doofus and then will do some grand, beautiful gesture that's like very public, and then she forgives him for that because she finally sees his true love. Like, it's very storybook. I don't want to say complete nonsense, but definitely drummed up kind of blue pill bullshit for making people feel like, oh, I just press this button and the problem goes away. Like, it's, no, you actually have to talk like adults and reasonably assess, different values and go through conflict. And if only life were that simple, that would be much easier.
We've established it's not a good idea to be using gifts as a way of trying to end fights. And it's also not a good idea to be using gifts as a way of trying to earn favor. Okay, you don't buy a woman's like affection, like stop treating her like a prostitute, essentially. But then it does bring up the question, well, when is the right time to be using gifts? And Matt touched on it earlier. When you've had some amazing success for yourself and you're overflowing with like positive energy, that's an appropriate time to sort of share that kind of abundance. Like, hey, I got a promotion. I've come into some money. Let's spend it together. Let's buy that thing that we've always wanted to buy. But another way to use gifts is a way to reward good behavior. It's not to get out of your own bad behavior, but if your partner is genuinely doing an amazing job, she's being a really good girlfriend, she's being a really good mother to your children, she was really nice like to you and like your friends when they came over and was really sweet and kind of accommodating, it's such a good idea in that instance to give her a gift. And you're not coming across as supplicating or simpish, forget all that kind of paranoia. What you're doing there is reinforcing that you want more of that positive behavior.
Jordan Peterson talks about this. It's essentially how to train your partner. And every time they do something you like, tell them that you liked it and tell them exactly what they did that you liked. And people love that. People love to be acknowledged for the good things that they do.
A woman is going to grow in contempt for any man who gives her gifts or nice gestures that she doesn't deserve, right? So this is why it's such a good idea to link nice gestures and gifts that you give to your partner to positive things that she's done, so that that part of her psychology isn't activated. She's reassured, like, I know why I earned this. This feels good. The moment that he starts giving unearned gifts to her, she's like, what's his angle? Where's this coming from?
Yeah.
Like, this is how women think.
This is why you don't offer strangers drinks at bars, is because it sends the message of, I am not special enough for you to hang out with unless I bribe you with this free object.
If there are guys out there who are like, okay, I want to reward her positive behavior, I want to show my appreciation for nice things she's doing, what exactly should I do? Should I buy her this? Should we do this? From my perspective, I'm going to advocate really strongly against buying her a material object and instead taking her on an experience. And there's a couple of reasons for this. Now, first, just to steelman the other side, when you do have a physical object, it does often give her something to reflect back on for like a long period of time. So if it's like a nice piece of jewelry, every time she's out, she might feel that wave of appreciation of you. If people ask her about it, it gives her a chance to like, my partner, isn't he so sweet? He bought this for me, and she can be reminded of that. There's a little bit of truth to that, but I do think that the novelty of a material object can fade reasonably quickly. So, and I also don't think you should be dating the kind of women who value that stuff too much more. The reason why I'm so much more of a fan of an experience is because you actually get to have that with her. And you get to enjoy the benefits of her gratitude over a much longer period of time. So if she's been working really hard to meet some deadline because you haven't been able to pitch in on something and she's really been amazing, for you to actually book, 2-3 nights away at some like resort or winery or something like that to give her an experience where she can relax and be pampered a little bit, that whole weekend, she's going to be filled with gratitude. She's going to be like, this is so nice. You realize when you give her a piece of jewelry, that gratitude is going to be super intense for like 30 seconds and then it's gone. And so why would you limit that, when you can actually have that experience with her? And when you give a really well-timed gift or gesture, it puts women into a very receptive, very feminine role. And it's really nice to actually get to enjoy that. You take her out for a nice meal that you've planned as a thank you. She's going to be in a good mood and a really feminine place for all of that night, which then gives you, that polarity that's going to make you more excited. And it's really good for the health of the relationship. And so I'm a much bigger fan of gestures than gifts. And that's my reasoning.